What if I told you that while you're struggling to remember what you had for breakfast, there are students in Japan who can memorize entire textbooks in a single night? And what if I told you that this isn't some genetic superpower, but a simple system that anyone can learn in the next 10 minutes? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will change how your brain works forever. 3 years ago, I was sitting in a cramped classroom in Tokyo, watching something impossible. A 16-year-old student named Yuki had just finished reading a 200-page history textbook. Not studying it, not taking notes, just reading it once. Then her teacher did something that made my jaw drop. He opened to a random page and asked her to recite the entire section, word for word, and she did it. Perfectly. But here's what really shocked me. This wasn't some genius kid. This was just a regular Tuesday in a regular Japanese high school. While Western students were highlighting and rereading the same paragraph 5 times, Japanese students were absorbing information like human sponges. The question that kept me awake that night was simple. What do they know that we don't? So I spent the next 2 years diving deep into Japanese learning methods. I interviewed teachers, students, and memory researchers. What I found was disturbing. The average American student forgets 80% of what they learn within 24 hours. But Japanese students? They retain 90% of new information for weeks. Think about that. While you're cramming for tests and forgetting everything the next day, they're building knowledge that sticks forever. But here's the crazy part. It's not about studying harder. Japanese students actually study less than American students. So what's their secret? The answer lies in 4 ancient techniques that have been hiding in plain sight for over 1,000 years. Technique number 1, the Kanji Revelation. Let me show you something that will blow your mind. Look at this Japanese character. This means forest. But here's the genius part. It's made of 3 trees. When Japanese students learn this, they don't just memorize a random symbol. They see a story. 3 trees make a forest. This is called radical thinking, and it's the first secret weapon. Now here's where it gets interesting for you. You can use this same technique with anything you want to remember. Let me prove it. Right now, I want you to remember this phone number, 246810. Most people would repeat it over and over, but using the Japanese method, you'd see a story. 2 people had 4 pizzas, but 6 friends came over, so they ordered 8 more pizzas, waited 1 hour, but got 0 pizzas because the shop was closed. Try to forget that story. I bet you can't. This is exactly what Japanese students do with everything they learn. They don't memorize facts. They build stories. But there's a problem. Stories take time to create, right? Wrong. Which brings us to the second technique, the 15-second rule. Here's something that will shock you. Japanese students never spend more than 15 seconds trying to remember something new. Wait, what? How is that possible? They use something called instant anchoring. Watch this. I'm going to teach you the entire periodic table in 60 seconds using this method. Hydrogen? It's like hi dragon, a friendly dragon saying hello. Helium? Hell I am, someone tough introducing themselves. Lithium? Lithium, someone with a lisp saying their name. See what's happening? In 15 seconds or less, they create a memory hook that never goes away. But here's the secret sauce. Japanese students don't just use random associations. They use what I call emotion triggers. Remember our friendly dragon? When you picture him saying, hi, you probably smiled a little. That emotional response is what locks the memory in forever. Japanese students have mastered this emotional connection. Every piece of information they learn has a feeling attached to it. Scary fact? Happy memory. Sad story? Powerful anchor. But even with great stories and emotional hooks, how do they remember everything for months without constant review? This brings us to the third technique, the forgetting cure. What I'm about to share with you is so powerful that Japanese companies pay millions to keep it secret. It's called calculated forgetting. Here's the mind bender. Japanese students purposely let themselves forget things, but they do it in a very specific way. They review new information after 1 day, then 3 days, then 7 days, then 21 days. Why these exact numbers? Because this is precisely when your brain is about to delete the memory. Think of your brain like a hard drive. It constantly deletes files it thinks you don't need. But when you review something just as it's about to be deleted, your brain says, "Oh, this must be important," and moves it to permanent storage. Japanese students have figured out the exact timing. They catch their memories right before they disappear. American students do the opposite. They review everything constantly until the test, then let it all disappear. But Japanese students? They're building a permanent library in their heads. Here's how you can use this starting today. Learn something new, then review it tomorrow. Review it again in 3 days, then a week later, then 3 weeks later. That's it. 5 total reviews, and the information is yours for life. Now, most people would stop here, but there's a fourth layer that makes this system unbreakable. The muscle memory secret. Remember Yuki from the beginning? Let me tell you what I saw her do after she memorized that textbook. While I was amazed by her memory, she did something that looked almost ancient. She pulled out a notebook and started writing. By hand. Over and over. I watched her write the same historical date 50 times in perfect rows. Not because she was being punished, because she was building something invisible. She was creating muscle memory. Here's the science. When you write something by hand, you activate 3 different parts of your brain at once: visual, motor, and cognitive. It's like creating 3 backup copies of the same file. But here's where it gets really crazy. Japanese students don't just write silently. They chant. Picture this: an entire classroom of 30 students writing the same math formula while saying it out loud in perfect rhythm. It sounds like a meditation session. This is called the chorus effect, and it's backed by neuroscience. When you combine rhythm, movement, and voice, your brain has no choice but to remember. But wait, there's something even more shocking about how Japanese students approach learning. They deliberately make mistakes. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. Japanese students use something called Kaizen learning. Instead of trying to learn everything perfectly the first time, they intentionally take tests knowing they'll fail. While American students hide from their errors, Japanese students collect them. They keep mistake journals where they write down every wrong answer and analyze why it happened. This creates something powerful. They become immune to the same mistake twice. Think about it. If you've already made every possible error and learned from it, what's left to fear? This is why Japanese students seem so confident. They've already failed at everything in private, so they can succeed in public. But here's the secret that makes all 4 techniques work together seamlessly. Japanese students follow something called the human principle. It's simple but revolutionary. Never move forward until you achieve 100% mastery. No gaps. No good enough. No moving on until the foundation is unshakable. While Western students rush through topics to cover more material, Japanese students move slowly but build perfectly. It's like the difference between a house built on concrete versus a house built on sand. When Japanese students finally advance to the next level, they're not just ready, they're overprepared. This is why they seem to learn new things so effortlessly. They're not actually learning from scratch. They're building on foundations that can't be broken. Imagine walking into any classroom, any meeting, any conversation, and remembering everything perfectly. Imagine reading a book once and keeping it forever. Imagine never forgetting names, faces, or important dates. This isn't fantasy. This is exactly what happens when you combine these 4 Japanese layers. 1. Story-based learning. Turn facts into unforgettable stories. 2. 15-second emotional anchoring. Make everything meaningful. 3. Calculated forgetting. Review at the perfect moments. 4. Multisensory muscle memory. Write, speak, and rhythm your way to permanence. Plus the human principle that makes it all stick, 100% mastery before moving forward. The students I've taught this complete system to have doubled their grades in 30 days. Some have tripled them. But here's what really matters. They've stopped being afraid of learning. They've become knowledge collectors instead of information victims. And most importantly, they've learned to see mistakes as treasures instead of failures. So here's your challenge. Pick one thing you want to remember perfectly. Could be a language, a skill, or even just your grocery list. Use the story method. Give it emotion. Review it using the 1, 3, 7, 21-day schedule. But here's the key. Write it by hand while saying it out loud. And when you make mistakes, celebrate them. Write them down. Study them like they're gold. Don't move to something new until you've mastered what you're working on now. In 30 days, come back and tell me how your memory has transformed. Let me know which method works best for you in the comments. Your brain is more powerful than you think. The Japanese have proven it for over 1,000 years. Now it's your turn. Hit that subscribe button if this changed how you think about learning. Remember, you don't have a bad memory. You just haven't learned the right system yet.